the point is, I know that there are a lot of well-meaning people who want amendments to Articles 25 to 30. Maybe that's a clarificatory amendment that is needed. My point is that my experience before a constitutional fora tells me that even the most perfectly worded document is capable of being deliberately misinterpreted if the mind reading it has a different vision altogether. So let's look at it this way. Two parties choose to negotiate at the negotiating table and they come out with a tightly crafted contract. That shouldn't lead to a dispute. There shouldn't be any room for misinterpretation or miscommunication or lack of understanding or a gap between two parties who have actually been a part of that particular process. And still there are disputes because motivation is the trigger for misinterpretation, right? What most people don't realize about the judicial process is that it's not like mathematics. It doesn't work on 1 plus 1 equal to 2, and rightly so in several instances. However, what this also means is that to a significant extent the outcome is the product of the worldview of the person reading it. Their own vision as to what they want. Therefore, it's possible that a word that is specifically mentioned as public morality is then morphed as constitutional morality. And we are told that it means something else altogether. That it has got nothing to do with the mores and the values that a society holds dear. So, the problem with the Hindu society, which I've seen in all the years of interaction ever since I started speaking in September 2016, is we blindly put faith in the fact that law is where the remedy lies. Neither has it worked in the realm of law and order, nor has it worked in the realm of constitutional outcomes. Because what you're unable to understand is that when ideology is the prime mover, then principles of legal interpretation, established principles of common sense and everything else take a backseat. So assume for a moment we undertake the exercise that you want us to and you amend Articles 25 to 30 fully. Can you guarantee that it won't be deliberately misinterpreted in the old fashion by a future individual? You can't. Because you're trying to address a tertiary problem. What is a tertiary problem? You're not addressing the problem at the realm of primary education or secondary education. You're addressing the problem after the person has finished an anglicized education for decades, goes to law school, learns only English jurisprudence and Western jurisprudence, has nothing to do with Hindu Darshana, finally goes and sits in that particular place. You're trying to explain the Hindu worldview to someone who's been an Anglophone all his life. How do you hope to succeed? Except through a miracle. So, the process that is most important, and that's why most of us constantly cry hoarse about it. Education, education, education. That is the battleground. And if you want to see what kind of a battleground it can turn out to be, just look at America. Where gender has become a battleground. Parents don't have control over the sexual identity and gender identities of their own children. Do you know that these gender identity and gender diversity training, let's say professors or let's say these experts are now working in tandem with the Indian government for gender diversity education in Bharat as part of our education policy. That work has already started. You have not even become a first world country, but you have a first world problem. यहाँ पे हुक्का पाने के लिए we are still, there is quite a few people who have to be lifted out of poverty, and you want to talk about gender issues. This is what happens when in your headspace you're living in America and in UK, while you're living in Shivajinagar. Sorry, that would be the Middle East, my apologies. So my point is this. Address this problem as quickly as possible because it's going out of hand. Every constitutional verdict impacts society later, but education curriculum first. Next question.